Ladies and gentlemen, the history of the Atlanta Flames only became international when the Flames moved to Calgary. Now, owner Tom Cousins was hoping for a big monetary gain by putting it down in Atlanta, but what exactly happened? He didn't do very good in the postseason and didn't have a TV contract that was giving him any money. They had some on ice success, but the Atlanta ownership was never on sound financial footing. Longtime GM Cliff Fletcher said years later that Cousins' initial financial projections for an NHL team did not account for the WHA entering the picture, and the Flames were also board draw and never signed again a major TV contract. Now, in 1980, Cousins was in considerable financial difficulty and was forced to sell the Flames to stave off bankruptcy. With few serious offers from local groups, he was very receptive to an offer from Canadian entrepreneur and former Oilers owner Nelson Skalbania, who also had owned the Montreal Alouettes. He was fronting a group of Calgary businessmen that included oil magnates Harley Hotchkiss, Ralph T. Scurfield, Norman Green, Doc and Byron Seaman, and former Calgary Stampeders CFL great Norm McQuown. A last-ditch effort to keep the team in Atlanta fell short, and Cousins sold the team to Skalbania for $60 million US, which was then a record sale for an NHL team. On May 21st, 80, Skalbania announced that the team would move to Calgary and play out of the Calgary Corral. He chose to retain the Flames' name, feeling it would be a good fit for an old town like Calgary, while the Flaming A logo was replaced by a Flaming C, which was ripped off by the DRHS Condors, my hometown high school hockey team. Skalbania sold his interest in 1981, and the Flames have been locally owned since. Now, unlike the WHA's Calgary Cowboys, when folded 3 years earlier, the Flames were immediately embraced by the city of Calgary. While the Cowboys could manage to sell only 2,000 season tickets in their final campaign of 77, the Flames sold 10,000 full and half-season ticket packages in the 7,000-seat Stampede Corral, which also had several hundred standing room-only seats. Now, led by superstar Kent Nielsen, who had 131 points in their first season, the Flames qualified for playoffs with a 39-27-14 record and came within a couple of games to making the Stanley Cup final against the Islanders. Now, the early success was not soon repeated, and Fletcher eventually jettisoned most of the Atlanta players and rebuilt the roster with players like Joe Lotto, Gary Suter, and Colin Peterson, and as well got European hockey talents such as Hakan Lube and other key skaters. He was also among the first to draft players from the Soviet Union, including CSKA Moscow star Sergei Makarov in 83, but he didn't play with Calgary until 89. Still, the team was sufficiently improved to challenge the Oilers, who required a maximum 7 games to defeat the Flames en route to their 84 Stanley Cup title. Now, in 83, the Flames moved to their new home, the Olympic Saddledome, now known as Scotiabank Saddledome, was located in the grounds of the Calgary Exhibition and Stampede. The Saddledome was built as a venue for the 88 Winter Olympics. Now, ironically, in 3 seasons in the Corral, the Flames lost only 32 home games. The Saddledome hosted the NHL All-Star Game in 85, a 6-4 victory by the Wales Conference. And, of course, the move to the Saddledome led to 2 Stanley Cup appearances, losing to Montreal in 86 and beating Montreal in 89. Now, what really stands out for me was the high boards at the Corral. It's talked about in a few of Stan Fischler's books. I saw some of the early games in the 81-82 season, and I had seen the Corral before, but the boards were just completely out of their out of sight. Like, I think it was anywhere from 16 inches and 2 feet higher than normal boards. And the benches, I think they were stacked, if I'm not mistaken. So if you want to find out more of the early Calgary time, that famous book, 100 Things You Should Know About the Calgary Flames, and also Stan Fischler and his wife book about the early Russian influence of the Flames, like Makarov and the controversy about the Calder. But ladies and gentlemen, early Calgary Flames games, a lot of energy. I think Don Whitman or Jim Houston maybe was announcing, but I remember Don Whitman. But Calgary and Edmonton, what a rivalry. Quebec and Montreal, what a rivalry. There was no Toronto-Montreal rivalry by the 80s, but having Calgary, Edmonton, and Montreal, Quebec, fighting for playoff spots and playoff position was a great time for hockey. And I do miss the Corral. So that's a little bit of early history of the Calgary Flames, who still not have sued Dallas Regional High School for stealing the logo for the Condors. If you like what they're doing, give us a like, comment, subscribe, or like. Have a good one. Bye.